Good evening, I'm Brittany Hobson. We begin tonight in Manitoba, where the Brandon Police Service is investigating what they say is a racially motivated attack on a black man. The attack happened Thursday evening at a skate park in the Manitoba City, west of Winnipeg. Police say 5 people approached the man and began verbally taunting him with racial slurs, and when he tried to leave, he was attacked. The attack was caught on camera by witnesses before police arrived. Police say the video shows one of the attackers appearing to stab the man 5 times. He was eventually able to get away and is expected to make a full recovery. A 23-year-old woman from Brandon and a 20-year-old woman from Sioux Valley, Dakota Nation have been charged with assault and public incitement of hatred. Police believe this is the first time the latter charge has been used in the city.
It is a fairly new charge. I don't know the exact history of it, but it is a fairly new charge in the criminal code. Unfortunately, the circumstances in this incident supported that charge. I would hope we never have to use it again, but in this circumstance, that charge was warranted.
Details of an Inuk woman's tragic end came out in an Ottawa court yesterday. Dwight Brown reached a plea agreement in the death of Susan Kuplu. Brown, pictured on the left, pleaded guilty to manslaughter, down from second-degree murder. Court heard how Kuplu was stabbed by her own daughter, Lenice. Her body was rolled up in a blanket and put in a dumpster. Lenice Kuplu still faces a second-degree murder charge. She remains out on bail, and her trial is scheduled for February 2021. Lenice Kuplu's lawyer, Diane Kondo, says her client is devastated by the plea procedure. Kondo plans to file an application that her client's charter rights were violated 13 times. For one, because no interpreter was provided during a 9.5-hour police interview. There is a search underway in Nunavut for a 13-year-old boy who has been missing on the land since September 1st. The boy was with a group of 9 people caribou hunting outside of Igloolik, Nunavut. He was separated from his group and has been missing since around 10:30 p.m. Tuesday night. A Hercules aircraft from CFB Trenton searched the area on Wednesday, and one helicopter search was done today with no sign of the boy. They did spot 6 polar bears in the area. Ground and water searches have been delayed due to high winds. In Caledonia today, a court sheriff served an injunction at the occupation camp on Mackenzie Meadows. It's the 3rd time the occupiers have been ordered off the construction site on Caledonia's outskirts. But as Brett Forrester reports, no one from the camp was there to hear it.
A spray-painted Nissan Sentra and a stack of 16 tires greeted Superior Court enforcement officers when they arrived at 1492 Landback Lane on Mackenzie Meadows to serve the camp with an amended injunction.
This court further orders that Skylar Williams is hereby added as a named defendant to this with an action.
Spokesperson Skylar Williams, now named on the order, says the occupants are concerned about a raid but have no plans to move.
On the very first day, the cops came here and asked how long we were going to be here. I said that we had been here for the last 10,000 years, and we're planning on being here for the next 10,000.
Enforcement officers accompanied by police waited 15 minutes while Haudenosaunee women gathered round to witness. Jacqueline House wasn't allowed to give her speech in court when Justice John Harper extended the injunction. She says the Haudenosaunee have their own laws that ought to be recognized.
I don't buy it. No, none of us do. No, because it's just it's a foreign piece of paper that doesn't belong in our canoe. It belongs in their boat, not ours. And they keep encroaching on us.
Ontario Provincial Police say they've now arrested 17 people in connection with the camp and the roadblocks. Cayuga Nation member Doreen Silversmith says they aren't giving up the fight now.
Well, I got to say it's nothing new. It's nothing new. That's what they do, right? Criminalize us, and that's what they use, injunctions and lawsuits, you know. And you can't get blood from stones.
Among those arrested were media figures Carl Dockstader and Courtney Skye. Skye, a CBC panelist and Yellowhead Research Fellow, has been at the camp frequently. Dockstader hosts a weekly radio program and spent time embedded at the camp. OPP Constable Rodney Leclerc says he can't comment on the charges as they're currently before the courts. Despite concerns about enforcement, things remain quiet at the camp. The next date in the injunction hearing has been set for October 9th in Cayuga. Brett Forster, APTN National News, Caledonia.
Tensions are rising on the East Coast between Mi'kmaq fishermen and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans over moderate livelihood fishing. Mi'kmaq fishermen were back out on the waters fishing without a license. Angel Moore has this report from a Mi'kmaq lobster boat in the Bay of Fundy.
Last weekend, when Mi'kmaq fishermen went to check their traps, they found the DFO seizing their lobster traps. Matthew Cope of Millbrook First Nation says he is fishing for a moderate livelihood and does not need a fishing license.
I just kind of explained to them that I'm fishing these under treaty rights and I'm fishing them under a moderate livelihood. And they still proceeded to take my traps.
The DFO says it cannot comment on an ongoing investigation. Cope says he is ready to challenge the government in court, and he is back on the water with more lobster traps, fishing without a license.
For them to take our traps and not press charges, not anything like that, that's just a form of bullying. That's just basically they're coming along, taking your tricycle, taking your ball, whatever, because they can. This is nothing more than schoolyard bullying.
Cope has the support of his crew. Jeremy Glode, also from Millbrook First Nation, has been fishing for about 6 years.
We're here and we're trying to make a difference, not just for us, but the community as well.
In 1999, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled the Mi'kmaq have the right to catch and sell fish to earn a moderate livelihood. Chief Terence Paul runs the fish portfolio of the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs and says the Mi'kmaq will assert their rights.
The Supreme Court of Canada affirmed our right to fish outside those DFO rules and according to our traditional practices. The Mi'kmaq have a right to self-government that includes our right to govern our fisheries and to develop our own sustainable livelihood fisheries separate from the commercial fishery.
This has caused conflict with non-Indigenous fishermen. Seafood trucks and lobster traps are in front of the DFO regional office in Meteghan, Nova Scotia, a quiet protest against First Nations fishing out of season. The owner of the seafood company did not answer our calls for an interview. Meanwhile, Cope and his crew will continue fishing.
We're not looking to rape and pillage the water. We're just trying to make some money during this uncertain times.
They keep the hard-shell lobster and throw back the rest. What they say is sustainable fishing and earning a moderate livelihood. Angel Moore, APTN National News, the Bay of Fundy.
Time now for a quick break. Coming up, we speak to a Yukon chief about a lawsuit against the Trump administration. Here's Saturday's weather forecast starting on the East Coast. Sunny skies and 24 in Halifax, 22 in Charlottetown, 19 above in Cartwright, 15 degrees in Nain, 21 in Gaspé, 23 in rain in Montreal, cloudy skies in Toronto and 24, 23 in London, 19 above in Thunder Bay, 15 in Big Trout Lake, in northern Manitoba, 16 and some sun in God's Lake, 18 in Norway House, mix of sun and clouds and 22 in Winnipeg and Gimli, in Saskatchewan, 28 above in Regina, 30 degrees in Swift Current, 15 in L'Orange, and 10 in Stony Rapids. Welcome back. James Favel is back as a member of the Bear Clan Patrol after he was unanimously voted out on July 31st because of a dispute with the clan's board of directors. Favel posted on Facebook that he has been reinstated, but he's not resuming his role of executive director just yet. An online petition to have Favel reinstated garnered over 3,500 signatures. One of the reasons he was let go was because of a workplace safety and health investigation after a Bear Clan member filed a complaint against him. In an emailed statement to APTN, the board of the Bear Clan stated, quote, "The Bear Clan board confirms that Mr. Favel registered to have his membership in Bear Clan Patrol renewed, and the renewal was granted." Favel posted that he plans on running for the elected position of director of the Bear Clan at their annual meeting on September 29th. Paul Prosper is the new AFN regional chief for Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Yesterday, he beat out 3 other candidates in a nomination meeting. The meeting was needed because East Coast Chief suspended Morley Gugu as regional chief last October. 2 investigations allege Gugu bullied and harassed Mi'kmaq women. Newly appointed Prosper has been a lawyer since 1995 and most recently chief of the Buckingeg Mi'kmaq Nation. He joins us now. Chief Prosper, thanks for joining us today and congratulations on your recent appointment. What are your plans, or what are you going to do to move on from the past controversies of your predecessor?
Basically, meet, with the relevant people, one-to-one, and to share with them, who I am and what I'm about, and to, build that sense of trust, and, a solid relationship. Certainly, I have that, with my colleagues, fellow chiefs, but also I really want to do that, within Newfoundland, to familiarize myself and to, just enhance and support, those relationships, both internally amongst our communities and also externally with government, whether it's municipal, federal, or provincial.
How would you handle some recent controversies, for example, the lack of an Amber Alert for a child in care who went missing with a much older man?
Yeah, there's certainly a need to enter into a structured dialogue with, the relevant authorities, with government officials, to put the issues and priorities of our region with our leadership front and center, with government and senior officials within government. That's something that certainly I'm looking to further enhance and support.
Now that you'll be representing several leaders, how would you characterize your relationship with federal and provincial governments?
Well, I've had, an extended relationship dealing with government, not only from employment perspective, but also from a political perspective. I have a background, I'm a lawyer in law, so I'm able to sort of cut to the chase and, get into the crux of what I believe the issues are. So it's something I'm familiar with, and I'm really looking to this, taking that a step further with this new position.
Well, we'll leave it there for today, and congratulations again. Thanks for joining us, Chief Prosper.
Thank you. Take care.
Last month, the Trump administration finalized its plans to open the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska. That move will open up over 1 million acres of protected land to oil and gas development. The Gwich'in peoples on both sides of the border worry that resource drilling in the area will drastically change their way of life, and they are suing the United States administration in an attempt to keep the refuge as is. Joining us is Chief Dana Tiza Tram of the Vuntut Gwich'in First Nation in Old Crow in northern Yukon. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today. Why has your First Nation joined in a lawsuit stipulating that the U.S. Office of Interior and the Bureau of Land Management are participating in an illegal leasing program?
Well, we have seen with the 2017 Jobs and Tax Cut Act out of the U.S. administration that they've set themselves up for a lot of illegal activities, pitting development in a wildlife refuge. And this is the calving grounds of the porcupine caribou herd, the largest land animal migration on Earth, and one in which the Gwich'in Nation, which stretches from northeast Alaska for Northern Yukon into the NWT has created a partnership and struck a balance within these lands for tens of thousands of years. So for the U.S. administration to suddenly come in, as well as undermine their own processes, democratic and legal, just to get at development, is a cause for great concern for our nation.
The U.S. government released an environmental review, which many groups in the lawsuit have said was plagued with errors. Can you tell us what are your thoughts on that review?
Well, this is indicative of what we've seen out of this administration. The past Secretary of Interior also left because of some controversies. The leader of the Bureau of Land Management left to go work with the oil and gas industry, but not before the administration stripping the Department of Fish and Wildlife Services in Alaska. So they've also expedited this entire process. So we see a degradation of environmental assessment, consultation, which has not happened with the Untitled or the Gwich'in Tribal Council, a lot of our Canadian counterparts. It's a long story short, they're railroading their own processes and moving as quickly as possible for development stage.
Proponents of the drilling have said only 1.5 million acres of about 20 million will be drilled, and that heavy equipment will be limited in the area when calving season starts. What are your thoughts on those claims?
Those are euphemisms, and although they may sound nice, I liken it a lot to surgery on the human body. You know, it's one thing if you have to get surgery, let's say, on your hand, but if there's surgery on your heart, that's an entirely different matter. And this area has been selected by the caribou, which have been in this area for 2 million years. They've chose this specific area for their calving. 200 migratory species of birds from every continent also rest or roost in this area. For all that and more, it is an extremely fragile area that sits on an ocean of permafrost. But the dichotomy is that it's also a wellspring of strength, driving ecosystems. So for any development or any presence in this area, this is one area that we simply cannot be considering. And really, it's very difficult to work with our partners and to work with the U.S. administration. Then when everything is for sale, nothing can be sacred.
The Vuntut Gwich'in have recently appealed the Prime Minister's office for a public statement of support. Have you heard anything from the Prime Minister's office yet?
We haven't heard from the Prime Minister's office to date, but we have had the Federal Minister of Environment, Minister Wilkinson, come out in a strong public statement supporting the Gwich'in Nation and the Gwich'in way of life. We have partners all across North America, from the Jane Goodall Foundation. We've had also a number of financial institutions such as Wells Fargo, Goldman & Sachs, Morgan & Co., just to name a few. Some of the largest international financiers reflect in their policy that they will not finance in this area. And we are also still waiting to hear from Canadian banks as well as the Prime Minister. As we all know here in Canada, that the caribou is found on the back of the quarter.
Well, thank you. That's all the time that we have for today, but I really appreciate you chatting with us and giving us some context to the situation going on.
I really appreciate this, as this is an issue that really marks our generation, and we are witnessing here a huge movement towards ecocide and Indigenous people standing together for all of our lands together as Canadians and Americans. Very important, must be.
Well, thanks again. We'll certainly be following this. The Iroquois Nationals received an assist from Ireland's men's lacrosse team earlier this week. The Nationals may now have better chance at competing in the 2022 Lacrosse World Games. The Haudenosaunee team was originally excluded from the event as they don't represent a country. A petition circulated in July asking the 8 participating countries to stand in solidarity. Ireland's men's team responded by withdrawing from the event to clear space for the group. The Nationals responded with a statement saying the move shows the true power and spirit of lacrosse. A large collection of prints from celebrated Inuit artists were found in a home in Michigan. More on that after the break. Here's the rest of Saturday's weather forecast, picking back up in northern Alberta. 15 degrees in Grand Prairie, 14 in Peace River. Sunny skies and 29 in Calgary, 32 above in Lethbridge. More sunny skies for some of the west coast, 32 in Kamloops, 22 in Quesnel. 18 and some rain in Smithers, 18 degrees in Fort Nelson. In the Yukon, 14 above in Watson Lake, 11 degrees in Beaver Creek. Over to the NWT, 13 degrees in Fort Liard, Trout Lake, Fort Simpson, and Wrigley. Sunny skies and a 9 in Inuvik, 10 above in Colville Lake. In Nunavut, 5 degrees in Baker Lake, 9 in Arviat. 13 and some sun in Iqaluit, sunny skies and 10 in Cape Dorset. Two people who bought a Michigan home with all its contents have uncovered a treasure trove of Inuit prints going all the way back to 1970. As was first reported in Inuit Art Quarterly, the previous owner was an art teacher and collector and had 40 original Inuit prints, some still in their original packaging. The prints, including the ones you see now, include some of the biggest names in Inuit art. Many are very rare prints that were only sold in limited numbers to private collectors. The people who found the prints say they want to hang on to a few of them and sell the rest to someone who understands their value and enjoys them. The Children's Aid Foundation has announced its 6 finalists for the National Stand Up for Kids Award. The annual award honors those who work to change the future for Canada's most at-risk children and youth. The winner will receive a $50,000 grant for a child welfare organization of their choice. The finalists and winner will be announced on September 9th. This year, 3 out of the 6 finalists are Indigenous. APTN spoke with Dylan Cohen, a Jewish Métis nominee from Manitoba. Cohen is a former youth in care and current organizer in Vancouver. He says youth in care must be a priority for everyone.
What Canadians need to understand is that regardless of the bureaucracy, youth from care deserve a caring and dependable place for their entire lives. And especially after they leave care, we cannot sit idly by while youth end up on the streets and end up trafficked and in really terrible circumstances. So what I need people to understand is that we all have an obligation to provide for those in our community, and youth from care are a collective responsibility.
An unexpected hotel guest in Whistler Village has brought attention once again to the risk of human-wildlife encounters. Security footage shows the moment a black bear saunters into the Four Seasons Hotel in the early morning hours. According to the hotel, one of their managers hopped into action and got the bear back outside right away. Luckily, no one was injured. That's all your APTN National News for this Friday, September 4th. Join us back here tomorrow for a special long weekend edition of APTN National News. I'm Brittany Hobson. Have a great night.